In this lecture, the objective is to upload the file to Firebase. The Firebase Cloud Storage Service is enabled in Firebase already. We're using the SDK to communicate with the Firebase application. Open the Firebase file for a moment. At the top of the file, we're importing the services we want to work with. We can't use the cloud storage functions unless we're importing the storage module. Import the Firebase/storage module. Next, we'll export the storage service so that we can use it in our components. Below, we're defining a couple of variables that we're exporting. We'll add to this by defining a variable called storage. It'll be set to firebase.storage. The storage function we're calling will tell Firebase that we'd like to start using its storage services. Any tasks related to using the storage can be found under this method. The last thing we'll do is export the storage object. This object will expose the cloud storage functions to our components. Go back to the upload component file. The next step is to import this object in the upload component. The first step to using the storage service is to create a reference. I'll explain in a moment what a reference is, but let's start with the code first. Create a variable called storage reference. Set it to the storage.ref method. We're creating a reference to the storage. The reference represents the path in our storage, aka the bucket URL. It's the same URL you'll find in the configuration object for Firebase. I'm going to add a comment afterward with the URL to show what the method will return. We need to create this for Firebase to know where to upload the file. We can instruct Firebase to upload the file to a subdirectory by passing in a path to the reference function. For example, if we passed in songs, then Firebase will upload the file to the songs directory. It's always a good idea to store the file in a subdirectory to keep things organized. We're not going to use the reference we created. It's considered good practice to create a separate reference for subdirectories. This way, we have a reference for the root storage and another for the subdirectory. After the root reference, we'll create a variable called songsReference. We'll set it to the storageref.child method. The child method will create another reference. The main difference between the child and reference function is that the child function will create a path relative to the parent reference. In this example, the parent reference is the storage reference. We're creating a separate reference specifically for the audio file the user is uploading. Unlike last time, we'll want to pass in the directory we'd like to upload the song to. The path will be songs/file.name. This path will result in a reference pointing to our bucket with the path attached to it. I'll add a comment to show an example. This might seem redundant. If we wanted to, we could have defined this as one reference. So why didn't we do that? It's generally good practice to have at least one root reference and an additional reference for each file you plan to upload. This is the pattern you will see implemented in most applications, even if you're uploading one file. It keeps the code clean and scalable. By creating a root reference, you can easily create more references without having to call the same methods repeatedly. In this example, we're storing MP3 files in a directory called songs. In addition, we're using the name of the file. Every file object comes with a property called name that represents the file name. The purpose of creating a reference is to tell Firebase where we'd like to store the file. The next step is to upload the file to Firebase. Call the function songsReference.put. Every reference comes with a method called put. This function will initialize the upload process. The put method requires the file we'd like to upload. We'll pass in the file variable that comes with every iteration of our loop. We're finished with writing the code for uploading a file to Firebase. Let's try giving things a test. In the application, try uploading an MP3 file. If you want, you can try uploading a file that's not an MP3 file. It should reject the file. We won't know for sure because we haven't handled the response. We'll take care of that in another lecture. We can verify the upload by going to the Firebase console. Open the Firebase console in your browser. On the sidebar, navigate to Storage. In the Firebase console, you will need to refresh the page to view the files uploaded to the bucket. Great, the files have been successfully uploaded to Firebase. If you upload a file that's not an MP3, you shouldn't see it in the storage. We're finished with uploading the file. The user doesn't know if the upload was a success or not. In the next couple of lectures, we'll work on handling the response.